So, welcome back to another episode. Today, I've got a very special guest on, and we're going to break down some extreme value on how to take advantage of webinars, firstly. Or there's even going to be value if you're not doing webinars right now. You're going to hear from Justin Nimergood. He's a top five, top three, top 1% agent. I'm not sure on the exact numbers in Texas. And he's got a bunch of agents under him. He's going to be dropping value on, firstly, the webinar system, how he's used it to book 17 appointments from his last webinar, how he's been integrating different systems, and how he not only manages a team, but some tips and tricks he uses to be a top agent. Justin, good to see you, my man. How are we? All good?
Fantastic, Fred. Thank you so much for having me on, and it's just been an absolute pleasure working with you and your team so far.
I appreciate it, brother. We got so much more to come, and yeah, we're just innovating. And I just love to partner with agents who have that vision and can go there with me. Because sometimes I'm there on my own, I'm like, let's go together, and they haven't got the vision. So to be with you, where we can do crazy things and then actually help and give it to other people, other agents who we can then build it out for, especially is just super awesome. So can you give everyone a tiny bit of background into like you and kind of how things have been in your career so far? Is that cool?
Sure. So a little bit of background on me. I started in the real estate game in 2006. I was on the finance side of the house. I thought I wanted to be, well, initially I thought I wanted to be an investment banker, but quickly pivoted to commercial real estate on the
Nice.
finance side.
Yeah.
And it was probably not very far in that I realized, you know what, Justin, you're way too ADHD. This is not going to work. Being behind a cubicle all day, not going to work for you. So
Yeah.
I pivoted again into the sales side, and I've been in real estate ever since then. And it's been wonderful. I started out obviously like many agents as a solo agent, just trying to make my way. I was initially hung my hat with Berkshire Hathaway, huge,
Right.
huge, very legacy. I call it a legacy
Yeah.
brokerage because,
100%.
typical model, office model,
Yeah.
and then kind of moved my way through things since there. And then more recently, as I moved back, because I originally started my real estate career in California. As I moved back to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is where I grew up and where I always say I'm originally from,
Yeah.
I really spent the last couple of years focused on building two different teams. One is an area team covering a geo out here, spanning
Yeah.
the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and the second is a high performance team, and we call ourselves Top Gun Team. So that's really what I've been focused on, Fred, and that's why when I came across y'all's uh, webinar, and I think it was one of your particular bits on. It was a bit on one to many, really the focus of one to many, and why that is absolutely, if you're in real estate, that's absolutely should be a focus or at least a consideration of yours to
Yeah.
build funnel. When I came across it, it was like an aha moment. Light from above came down on me, and I said, "Wow, this I can't believe I had missed this, right? This seems like such a great way to build and scale." And obviously, our initial proof is in the pudding. By the way, we're at currently at 18. So even
Woo!
one more. We have 18 now
That's crazy.
appointments that have been booked from the webinar. And to your point, and I know we'll talk about this, but a number of those were after the webinar, right? It
Right.
was after. So
100%.
absolutely phenomenal though so far.
No, awesome start. And for the just touching back on that, you've had quite a decorate career. How many years has it been? Sorry to
So
to
on the sales side, I've been close to 18 years.
wow.
So
Okay.
18 years. So I've been through it. I've been through the ups and the downs and the joy times and then the not so joy times, but you
Yeah.
find a way to get through it. But I'll tell you, in my real estate career, I've never seen an opportunity like what we see today. And especially if you're a buyer out there, 2021, 2022, if you were a seller, was one of the greatest times to sell because it
Right.
was COVID and everyone was buying stuff over Zoom, just like this,
Yeah.
right? People were literally
Yeah.
buying homes over Zoom. The problem was the cost of those homes was so outrageous, right? It was way overpriced, so it was way oversaturated. So your cost to buy a home was much greater than it is today. The
Yeah.
the the price point, because the interest rates were so low, was great, but your cost again to get into a home was much higher than it is today. Today you've got a combination of a good interest rate. I'll say a good, it's solid, right? All things considered. It's not in the low threes or whatever like it once was, but it's 6.5 as it sits roughly today. But your cost to get in a home is much less than it was back in those days. So I say it's one of the best times to buy a home, and that's why putting this content out there and being an educator, really educating the masses on what opportunities exist out there is so important, right? It absolutely is a necessity. So yeah, I would just leave you with that.
100%. No, you really hit the nail on the head. And a lot of agents, like this is why I love working with top agents like yourself, is that proactiveness and that understanding that, here's a system, I see the vision. Now, how can we really make this work on your side? Because obviously I can do as much as possible on the marketing side, but it really takes a real estate brain to see how can we connect the dots here in terms of that. And one thing you did, as we already kind of touched on, is having someone work through the leads. Can you just give like a really, because some agents watching this, we've thrown around the word webinars, masterclass, but they don't really know like what's actually going on. But obviously, it's the one-to-many concept, which allows you to leverage your time at scale and become bigger and better. But can you give the people, agent to agent, a kind of overview on what you did, what were the steps to launch a webinar and how you utilized it to make the most of it?
Sure. Obviously, through Fred and his team's program, you'll work with them. They'll put together some ad sets for you, right? I mean, I think some of this is already known, but they'll put together the ad sets for you. They'll align your desired, critical mass or target audience and whatnot,
Yeah.
and they run them for 6 days. And so we had 67 registrants through the process. We obviously prepared a kick-ass webinar. I mean, we really put the time in. We went through it, and Fred knows this. We went through it three times. So the lender and I that I partnered with, we spent some time on it, right? And so I would say to any of you out there, if you're going to spend the time to go through this program with them, and they're going to spend their time and their expertise to get you these results, you might as well go all out with it, right? So like, why the hell not? What else do you
Why
have
not?
to lose?
That's it.
So we absolutely, though, my point was we absolutely went all out. We focused on making sure that the content was crisp, it was
Yeah.
rich, it was good slideware, and it was going to add immense value. That was the other thing. I mean, I wanted to make sure that our presentation delivered so much freaking value that people were like, they had no option but to book in with us,
It
not
was
just
rude not to. They felt
it was
obligated
rude
to.
not to. Exactly, right? And
Yeah,
I go back to like a lot of the personal development gurus. If you give people more value than they can handle, they have no option but to work with you, right?
that's it.
So we focused on that, and then obviously we executed the webinar. Here's the key to Fred's point, and I just wanted to give that first part its backdrop.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Now, because we've delivered so much value, anyone that didn't book in with us, and anyone that maybe didn't even attend the webinar, which were there were several of them that we booked in, by the way.
Yeah,
When we followed up with them, and we followed up with everyone at least 3 times, meaning we called through the list at least 3 times, not just the people that registered for the webinar and were on
yeah,
the webinar, but everyone.
yeah.
Everyone that was on the list, we called through at least 3 times. We got a hold of most people, by the way. Most people were thrilled to talk to us. Most people were thrilled to book an appointment. But
That's
you
it.
gotta frame it correctly. And so one thing that you'll learn from Fred and team, especially, and they do a great job of this, exclusivity, right? So you frame it as, hey, I've opened up, I don't usually do this, but I've opened up a couple more slots
Yeah,
just for people just like yourself that may have not even been able to attend and wanted to see if you wanted to take advantage of that or not with us. Again, they would be rude not to. So that's how we were able to get 18. 13 of those, by the way, were after the fact. We only got five. We only
on the
got
webinar.
five
Yeah,
immediately following the webinar. 13
which
of
just
those
shows.
were after
Yeah.
the fact. Yep.
Yeah, and that just shows like these people didn't sit down and listen to you talk for 45 minutes or more, but what they did do is show interest on the ads. They opted in for a reason. They didn't just fill out a lead form and find themselves there. That's not how it works. They go through a multiple step process. They even told you and your team, Justin, how much money they make a year, what their credit score is, and when they're looking to buy. So we've got the data on them. They've gone ahead and filled that out, which shows they must have like quite a want to potentially be able to own. And some of them definitely have that capability. So it shows that because you didn't even sit down with them on a webinar, all it took was you hosting a webinar and having that authority. I know you're already known, but they might not have known you, right? So, you're quite a famous realtor for like being a realtor, and they don't know you, like 99% of them, let's say. And the fact that you even hosted a webinar was enough credibility for them to be like, you know what? Justin must be the authority in the market if he's hosting webinars. He must know what he's talking about because you're educating. And I think when you're educating rather than like, selling and pushing like 95% of other realtors, I think that's what can really, like, as it seems, you got like, what was it, 13 appointments from not on the webinar. So that can really push you ahead.
Yeah,
So that was
and
special.
let me echo what Fred has said here. And this is just my style. I've never been big on doing the cute, gimmicky
Yeah.
TikTok videos and whatnot that I know are great and I know they attract a ton
I
of
don't know,
people.
Justin, maybe you could do some TikTok dancing next time. We'll see. We'll see if I can get you doing that.
Maybe I can. I've never been that way though, Fred.
Yeah.
I'm not, I guess I'm not wired that way, but what the
Yeah.
way I am wired is to deliver, again, I'll just say it again, deliver immense value. And so
Mm,
that's why I was so well aligned with what you guys are doing, and it works. Folks, if you're like thinking about this right now, just do it because I will tell you right now, it works. It absolutely works.
no, I appreciate it. And I haven't paid him to say this.
No, he
There's
has
no
not.
gun to his head. There's nothing going on here. No, I appreciate it, Justin. And for you, obviously, you've got probably a lot more experience and sold more houses than like 95% of agents watching this. So for you, outside maybe rounding webinars or like vision wise, like what's your plan to like utilize this system that we have now? Just to
Yeah.
give people some aspiration and like because you can customize this, you can take this wherever you want to take it. So without giving away all the cards in the hand, give us some envision from you.
Yeah, so we're going to be obviously, like all things, refining the strategy behind each of these webinars moving forward. The thing
Yeah,
I will tell you is the reason I evaluated this in the very first place was I wanted something that I could scale and scale across my team.
yeah,
So the idea with any good leader, once you get out of your own way and you learn how to scale a business, right? Just like Fred has and just like many other good entrepreneurs have. I'm still, I'm still learning myself, but whatever. Um,
he's so humble.
what I would say you do is you get out of your own way. And
Yeah,
so I'm already looking at this as I can now teach this down through my downline, through my team, right? The people that are indirectly or directly kind of reporting up through me and on my team. And I can teach them how to do this because I've now had success with it.
right.
And so that's been a big thing that I built my systems on is go out, prove the model, prove the success,
And
and
then
then go
outsource
teach
it.
it to someone
Yeah,
else, right? And
100.
then you can scale that thing forever. So that's really what we're going to be focused on is on especially Top Gun team. We're going to be focused on me teaching that down through our high performance team, having them really run these webinars and whatnot moving forward. So you're going to see more from us here, but it's going to be in different formats and whatnot as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, no, it's going to be special. And obviously, the last webinar, we've got a great basis now, and it's only building off that. Now we can up the quality, we can change this, we can do that, we can do sellers on demand webinars. Then we can really get innovative, and I think that's where it gets special when you're down to test and down to try. That's what marketing's all about, testing different things and then throwing us, shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, as it were. So I think that's going to be the exciting part for me. It's going to be a lot of fun. So before, like, obviously doing webinars, what were you kind of doing? What was working? What was kind of painful that you felt like you needed to get out of? I know a lot of agents had things with Zillow and it's cost them thousands. It works and it doesn't work and it's all up and down. And give me some. Obviously, you probably tried
Uh,
everything in the book at this
yeah,
point.
I've tried a little bit of everything, and I've burned through some cash to do so,
Yeah,
right? And
I bet.
sometimes you have to do that, admittedly, especially as a leader, you have to try new things. But
Yeah,
my big problem statement that I have tried to solve for the last year and a half, and I have been unsuccessful, I'll admit. I have failed so far, but it's been iterative. Every year, every month, I'm getting closer
Yes,
and closer to it,
step
which
closer.
is
Yeah.
I want to figure out how I can fire Zillow. That's what I want to figure out because to your point, it is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
Whether you go the flex model or you go the premier agent model, it's either going to be ridiculously expensive on the front end or ridiculously expensive on the
On the
back
back.
end.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find a way to scale a business without spending an arm and a leg, right? And so that has been really the problem statement that I've been trying to solve for. That's why we looked at this and we said, this makes too much sense. Let's go
Yeah.
forward.
100%. And have you done webinars in the past, or was this like the first time doing kind of, obviously you've probably done lots of team
I've
stuff and
done,
public speaking and that kind of thing.
yeah,
So it's
I
more
have
the
done
tech
plenty.
side.
I've done plenty of webinars in the past. I've done a
Okay.
couple here and there for real estate, but that's again to just comment on their program. That's what you're getting from them is you're getting the programmatic framework. They've done this hundreds of times now, y'all, and they know the model. I always say I'll pay someone like forever and for always if they have the blueprint. These
Yeah.
guys have the blueprint. They know what they're doing. So I was doing it, but I didn't really know what I was doing. When I was doing it before.
Yeah.
Now, working with Fred, he and I are collaborating now, and I'm seeing the vision. I'm understanding the nuts and the bolts of how they do this. And they teach you this stuff too, right? They teach you the system behind it. Hey, this is what we're trying to do, and this is why we're trying to do it. And I again, that type of education and experience is invaluable in this market, especially in real estate. Our market is built of nothing but failures, failed realtors, failed, deals.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be on the winning side, right? If you want to be on the winning side, you got to work with people that have the blueprint. So again, I can't say enough about these guys and what they're doing right now out in the market.
Yeah, and obviously, like it's a skill at the end of the day. You're very, I think, very charismatic. So I feel like you have that natural kind of relationship sales ability, which is great to have as an agent. Obviously, you may have built up over the years. Maybe you didn't start with it, but that's how it comes across. For some people who are, for example, more introverted or more less tech savvy, do you feel like it's something that they could still tackle on, or do you feel like it's maybe tougher? Or obviously we try and streamline it as much as possible. Hopefully you felt that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the first webinar was a breeze because they pretty much handled, 99% of it, right? There's like the
Yeah,
1% you had to dip into and connect or do yourself, but really they handled the majority of it. And again, I'm now just now starting the actual program, and again, they're handling so much of it, and they handhold even the onboarding process was super well refined, and holding my hand through the process. And I'm pretty tech savvy. So I didn't
yeah,
really need a lot of it, but they do it anyway. So I would say if you're out there and you're like questioning, oh, I'm not very tech savvy, can I do a webinar? The answer is yes.
yeah,
Emphatically, yes, you can. Okay. And these guys will make sure you're taken care of every step of the way.
100%. And yeah, I mean it makes perfect sense. I mean the DFW, how's your market in terms of lead gen? Like how's it
Oh,
been outside? Is
it's
it painful? Because some markets it makes a massive difference. Like if you're in, for example, New York, lead gen is literally like butter. It's so it just melts. It's easy. But some markets they're very tough. So how's yours been?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I told Fred jokingly prior to the show, or actually it was the other day when we were chatting. I said, we're kind of insulated and incubated in an incubator, if you will, in the DFW Metroplex, and around us in Texas, you've got markets like Austin, which had the Silicon Prairie boom, where you had all these tech companies like Tesla and whatnot coming to town. And
Yeah.
so you're around all this success. But DFW, if you look at it over the last 30 years, because my family and I originally moved to Texas in 1992.
Okay.
1992.
From
Okay.
where?
In
Where did you?
1992, where they moved, it was a town called Southlake. At the time, you could buy a couple $100,000 house. It was
Yeah.
just two lane road, dirt road that was now finally being developed into an actual cement cement road, as we like to call it out in Texas.
Yeah.
That town today, Southlake, is not a town anymore. It's a full-fledged city. It's got over 30,000 residents, and the average home sale price is over $1.5 million today.
Wow. So it's a nice spot.
It's a nice spot. But that's a reflection of DFW, right? It's not just Southlake, that's DFW, right? Southlake is a microcosm of DFW. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, DFW is a hot market. You really you can't, I don't want to say you can't go wrong, but there's a lot of pockets of success in DFW right now.
Yeah, 100%. And from that, obviously, from the webinar, we have the contact details from we have the phone number, the email, the full name, the last name, how much money they make, the income, as I already mentioned. How have your appointments gone so far in terms of quality? Were these people that worked at Burger King? Did these people were they able to do something? Or obviously you haven't, I don't know if you've had all the appointments yet. I think they're still getting booked in, but
No,
it's early days.
I still have just to give y'all a sense, I've had uh 10 so far. I have another two this afternoon. I have another couple this weekend, which should pretty much round out my. Oh, and then I'm sorry, and then another couple next week as well,
Yeah,
which should round out our first 18. A couple of them, it's like anything, right? The cream will rise to the top. So honestly, there's like 80% of them that are kind of in the middle, right? That are, okay. They either have good credit, but they aren't making a lot of money, or they they have bad credit, but they're making a lot of money. In other words, they're not a pure profile, as we like to call it, where it's just
yeah,
good across the board. So that's 80% of them, right? But there's still business to be done with those 80%, I would say. Then you've got your 10%. 10% are just outstanding. They're rock stars, great credit, make over $110,000, or at least that's what we put it as far as our scale for
yeah,
qualifying.
yeah,
And they're looking in the next 3 to 6 months, which is like kind of the perfect time frame. And then you've got your 10% who quite candidly are just not qualified, right?
yeah.
And
Of
that's
course.
fine. That's fine. You guys got to understand. You have to go through a lot of no's to get to those yeses, right? So this is the same concept of that. Instead of going through no's, you're basically having the option to qualify them yourself. And I would encourage you, regardless of what you see on their pre-qualification questionnaire, this is the other key to this. Do not pre-discriminate them, right?
No,
Because you do not know. And a couple of our best prospects that we've had, I'll be honest, they weren't the perfect profile. But it turned out when we went through the process and I had them talk to my lender was like, yeah, actually, this person's a pretty good prospect.
yeah.
So it just goes to show you, you got to go through the process with everyone.
That's it. And on top of that, for those leads that have come in, maybe their neighbor, their mother, their brother, their sister, they're going to be a potential contact that you can do something with. So, just writing someone off is also not the right step. And the 80%, you haven't felt it yet, Justin, but these people will convert over time. As we go on, like as we run more webinars, you're the one who's educated them, you're the one who's told them on their problems and actually provided so much value up front. They're not going to go with another realtor in the future. So when their credit is fixed, when they've moved back out of state, whatever their issue is, right, and they're ready to go, that's when you get a compounding effect over time. And that's when I think webinars really start to like turn up the heat because it's like a doctor, if a doctor gave you, if you have a heart condition and you had a heart specialist doctor and it gave you a real clear idea of where you're at, what medication you're going to need, you're not going to go to another doctor and say, by the way, a doctor gave me this transcript. Can you just deliver it out for me? It's just not going to, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
that's
not
going
at
to be a
all.
fun part
Not
as
at all.
well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say there. You said it yourself.
I hit the nail on the head. Love it. But yeah, obviously we're gonna have a coaching call with you inside the program. So if any agents watching this, they want to someone's giving me a ring. If any agents watching this, they want to, hear more from Justin, then, feel free to, there's a link in the description. I think right now we have a few more spots available we're offering a little trial for the webinars so you guys can test out in your own market and see how it works. It's not going to be on forever, but it's something that if you're believing that what you're doing right now, you're churning money or you're pushing the needle, but it's not actually moving, then webinars is a quick way to just change the game like it's done for Justin and so many other agents that I'm going to be having on this channel as well. So yeah, Justin, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say for this event that you're going to have me on, and again, thank you for inviting me on. I'll
Yeah,
promise I'm going to go into some more specifics, right? We didn't really have a chance to get into it today. We'll go into more like scripts, some specifics around process, systems, things that you really want to put in place to,
Yeah.
as I like to say, squeeze every last ounce
Yeah.
of lemon juice out of that lemon, right? And that lemon is your webinar. And make sure that you're doing that because again, we would have only, if we didn't do that, we would have only had 5 bookings, which means using that 80% example, I would have maybe only had one good one. But now
Yeah.
because we've booked an additional 13, we're probably going to get three, four, five pretty good ones now,
Yeah.
right? It's
100%.
massive difference, massive difference.
Changes the game. Yeah, it's about what you do after the webinar and not just on the webinar that can also, double the business. So yeah, wise words. I'm looking forward to that episode. But yeah, I appreciate you, Justin. I'm looking forward to just taking this to the moon, trying so much different stuff, innovating and yeah, just partnering. See me in the DFW. There might have to be a little vlog that I have to put out. Well, who knows? We've got some cool stuff on the way. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
you're
fun.
coming out for the World Cup, right?
There you go. We're gonna have to kick some ball, see what your touch is like. So it's gonna be
That's
fun.
right. Thanks for having me
All
on,
right.
Fred.
Yeah. You have a great one.